Hi, this is Angie Carpenter, Town of Islip Supervisor with our Supervisor Spotlight, and we're really excited today to have with us Donna Moravick, who is the Executive Director of South Shore University Hospital. Welcome,
Thank
Donna.
you very much. Thank
you.
So
South Shore University Hospital, tell us.
How did that
for
happen?
those who are like, what hospital?
Exactly.
Southside.
Correct. So, you know, when you are where Southsides come from, I've been at the hospital for 10 years. This is my 10th anniversary.
Find it so hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And when I look at where we were and where we've come, it's an enormous lift. But the word university implies that we are an educational or medical education, and as well as other professions. So we have nursing education, but we are affiliated, as everyone knows, with Hofstra Northwell Medical School, and it has been a great asset to our health system. So we have an emergency room residency, we have an OBGYN residency, and we now have a surgical residency starting in July. We have, when I first came to Southside Hospital, it was Southside. And with 10 years ago, we put the open heart surgery program and the Entenmann's Family Cardiac Center there. You can see that that was the foundation of a transition that you can't turn back on. You know, it's just truly amazing. So we have the best physicians, and our motto is we've reinvented. We have renowned surgeons. We've recruited doctors, all types of doctors, and we've not stopped. And
you know,
it's been great.
I find it so exciting to see because, first of all, I was born in Southside Hospital a few years ago.
I was going to say 25 years ago.
Yeah, plus 25 plus years ago. But my involvement, especially as a member of government, and prior to that in the community, having a business, being involved in the Chamber of Commerce, and seeing the transformation of Southside, especially when Northwell became, you know, when Southside became part of Northwell. And there was a lot of trepidation on the part of the community. You know, we were going to lose our sense of community. And that is so far from the truth.
Absolutely.
You know, that sense of community around South Shore University Hospital has stayed there. And I don't want to say despite, but in addition to the fact that it has grown and the services have grown and the facilities have grown and the capabilities to really address the healthcare needs of the community have blossomed, that sense of community has stayed there.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm when I came to Southside, you know, my predecessor, Winnie, she actually, you know, she was the bulldozer that cleaned up the place. She did a great job. I now have into the clinical oversight. I'm a nurse practitioner, as you know, but so you start with the quality first, and that's what we did. We really focus on quality outcomes, and we really have changed a lot of the leadership and, you know, physician, staff, whatever, not because we wanted to, but because the place was changing and people didn't like change. But the one thing that is constant, and the one thing I insist upon, is that community feel and the relationship to the community. So I have realized that Southside, South Shore University Hospital now, and the community have intertwined. We are not separable. We are one. And I look at that as, you know, pick up the phone and can call you. I have many people in this community who reach out to me for anything. Being a provider myself as a nurse practitioner, you know, sometimes we'll get a picture of a rash, but that's my job, you know. So my, you know, what I love about that is that people still feel comfortable enough to come to me for a question, and I will always be there for this community, always.
Yeah, that's exciting, and we're really happy that you are really. You know, healthcare certainly has been challenged, as we all have this past year with COVID, and certainly I mean, no one's been immune. You know, everyone's lives have been impacted in some way because of COVID, but certainly those in healthcare. So tell us about, you know, what did it mean? You know, there you are, you know, you're in charge, and you know, you and I can relate to a certain degree because of being the one where the buck stops. But it was a challenge, and I can only imagine, you know, tell us a little bit about what went on.
You know, actually, it was a year ago,
when
the ball started rolling. And it was, you know, as we would get the patients in the building, we realized they were coming in pretty sick, thinking they just had a cold.
Right.
And I have been in healthcare for 40 years and have never seen anything like that in my life. I would go home and be speechless. But what we all did in our executive team was we were all I was in scrubs and sneakers and a stethoscope and a lab coat because not only can you, but you need to be because it was all hands on deck. Our health system did a great job by partnering with Intermountain, and we had many, flex staff. But when I look back at the data, there was a time on April 17th when we had over 320 patients in the building that were COVID positive.
Oh
now,
my gosh.
Southside University Hospital has 305 beds. We moved out Mother Baby into an ambulatory site. Our emergency room was another unit, and we doubled up every bed we possibly could. And I just remember the feeling I never felt helpless in my professional career, ever. And it was almost like no one had the answers. So fast forward to now, what have we learned and what are we seeing? We are seeing patients coming in who can be sick or can have respiratory issues, but now we know what to do. We give them steroids, we give them remdesivir. We even have a tent out front, which you know about, and in that tent we're giving monoclonal antibodies when a physician recommends or requests or actually refers. So we now have an opportunity, and patients come in, their oxygen level's low, we put them on what's called high flow. They get a nasal cannula and they have they blast oxygen, not quite like a nasal cannula, but they blast oxygen through that for the patients. So we see people going home and people getting over the hump. It was not that easy in the past, and we were the hot spot, as you know.
Yep,
we were
absolutely.
the hot spot, one of the hot spots in the state of New York, and I just remember we had 10, we had 30, we had 70, we had 100. Every day was another number, and I just, the nurses' aides, the doctors, respiratory was heroes. I mean, you would go home and I would strip outside or in my garage and throw my clothes in a bag and throw them right in the washing machine. But it changed my life so much to see that. You're never prepared for that, ever. And even as a healthcare clinician, simply because you don't expect them to go from A to Z so quickly. And again, we still don't have visiting hours. It's only unless someone's going to die. And that was a really rough time. But when you have that much going on, we had people from the lobby up, upstairs project on their phones. It was there were no rules. It was kind of
you kind of making it up as you went along, really, because it was and I've said this. We have drills all the time, for emergency situations, whether it's weather related or whatever. But there was no tabletop exercise for a pandemic, not like this.
Unprecedented, and I think. You're looking at the PPE was a big question, right?
Yep.
I mean, we helped everybody. Whoever needed PPE, we were helping them. So,
well, there was a lot that went on, and there's a lot more we're going to talk about. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. We will be back on Supervisor Spotlight.
You are watching ITV. Channel 18, Islip Television.
Hi, this is Islip Town Supervisor Angie Carpenter, and we're here again with our Supervisor Spotlight. And the spotlight today is on Donna Moravick, who is the Executive Director of Southside University Hospital right here in the town of Islip in the hamlet of Bayshore. And before we took the break, we were talking a little bit about COVID and the impact and, as an administrator and a healthcare professional, what that meant to you on a day-to-day basis. And, you said the word heroes, and you made reference to the tent that was erected because of the situation with COVID. And every day I pass, and every day I see that tent, and every day I see that sign that says, healthcare heroes work here. our heroes work here, and they
That's
truly,
so true.
truly are.
Everyone.
You have to be so proud.
I am beyond proud. I mean, when you look at everyone in that building, it's everything. It's engineering, it's nursing,
absolutely.
it's environmental, it's we have security that's spectacular,
Right.
And nurses, of course, doctors, the clinicians, PAs, NPs. But when I look at that, it's not one, it's all, and not one of them missed a beat. We as an executive team, even our CFO, my deputy, we all were in. We had to stagger ourselves because we didn't know if one of us was going to get sick.
Right.
And, because if we couldn't wipe out the whole team. So we staggered ourselves. So we said, you're going to stay home today and work from home, while the other two groups worked from, 4 a.m. till 4 p.m. And then the other one worked from 10 to 10. It was just a constant revolving. And you were there all the time. I mean, I was there weekends, holidays. We missed, the one thing I must say, Angie, is this community. Islip feeds South Shore or Southside.
Yes, yep.
What was done and sent to that hospital was unbelievably heartwarming. We had a day of hope, and Michael Dowling came, and it spawned from a nurse in the emergency room who said, "I feel like we're hopeless. It's helpless and hopeless at this point. We're helpless, and it seems hopeless." So she had shirts made. Everybody wore one. Michael and Mark came, and what was interesting about that was it was so uplifting that we all went back in and continued to march on. Right through Easter, right through Mother's Day, right through every holiday, but no one complains. I saw the best statement yesterday. It said, COVID's not leaving. No. It's here, but we know how to manage it. So it's going to be marginalized because we're not going to take this crap from a virus.
Nope.
And we just, my recommendation is everyone get vaccinated as soon as you possibly can. Yeah,
well, that certainly is the key. And, listening to you talk about the incredible heroes at Southside, we have our heroes here in the town of Islip too. And COVID affected us. When the governor came out with the mandate of 50% must work from home, we geared up. We still have to deliver services to the residents of the town of Islip, and it's kind of tough to be filling potholes from home. There are some things that just did not transition, as in your field too. But everyone really stepped up to the plate. It was really, really amazing. And you talk about the custodial staff. They had to step up their game.
Absolutely.
And they did, and they're polishing doorknobs and railings and high-touch areas all over the place. And if someone did come down with COVID or was exposed, the team went in and totally, sanitized everything. And, that protocol is in place to this day. But, everyone really stepped up to the plate. They really, really did. And at our airport, we were the first airport in the country to introduce that Casper technology air purification system in, which is in most hospitals where 99% of the pathogens are removed from the air.
It's amazing.
We had PPE equipment in a vending machine. We got this Silver Defender film that is on all the high-touch areas in the airport, because it was important at a time that airlines are struggling, that the industry is hurting so bad, that we created an environment so that when people were able to fly, they felt safe and comfortable. We never closed the airport, not one day, and that wasn't the case for some of the smaller regional airports. We were opened every single day. So the team over there at the airport, everybody in the town.
Wonderful.
It just really, really makes you feel good when, there is a crisis that people do pull together.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's special. We're great. We're
great
people.
It's a great people.
You made reference earlier to the fact that 10 years of the cardiac program at the South Shore University Hospital or Southside, that was a game changer for you. Because I remember when that program was initiated, there was a ribbon cutting and everything, and these renowned surgeons coming on board. Do you want to, especially that's your field, that's your field.
Right, I was the vice president of cardiac, and we were challenged to put the program here in a very short period of time. And you know, when you put something like that there, you have to make sure every T is crossed and I is dotted. And, you know, we put a director out here who's PA and a cardiothoracic PA. I'm a cardiothoracic NP. And we had to put, you know, it's not just about the heart. It's about the other body parts too. So you had to have a good vascular doctor, a good general surgeon, you know, how much. So it was really a North Shore University Hospital program that we cleaved and brought out here. And I took the directors here and the directors at Manhasset. We lined them up. How much blood do you need on site? How many lab draws do you do? What's an x-ray? Do you need any other radiological equipment? So there's so many things to think about. But I'll tell you, I just saw Alan Hartman the other day because, you know, we did a big 10-year video. And he said, do you remember those Sunday mornings going to church, the churches in this community? And we did. And the support in this community, we were both just talking about that, not just the churches, but everywhere was tremendous. I mean, the rapidity with which we built out operating rooms, the support of, you know, the town. It's been a journey and a half. The first open heart patient was in the OR, and we received a call on Valentine's Day was the first open heart. And the call was, we have an emergency in the cath lab that has to go now. So before we opened that program, of course, you know, being the worry wart that we are, and I am, we had to make sure we had enough in place to open up another room. And sure enough, we had everything ready to rumble, save that man's life. We've done over 4,000 open hearts. We helicopter in patients from we oversee their community, the community hospitals, cath lab, and we are diligently continuing to work on our program. So I look at the cardiac program started again with the foundation of cardiac, the Entenmann's Cardiac Center, and what we built onto that is a tertiary facility, trauma, neurointervention, the John and Linda Bolson Neurosciences Center. It's amazing, and you know what kind of facilities growth we have in that hospital. Yes, it's amazing. It really is. $500 million. It's tremendous.
It seems like every time we turn around, there's another ribbon cutting or groundbreaking, but it's all very, very exciting.
And buildings knocked down.
And buildings knocked down. And you know, also too, parking was an issue, and that has really been resolved with the construction of a parking garage in the middle of a pandemic. You know, that
it didn't stop.
And what was so amazing to me about that, and you know, kudos to Ron Meyer and his staff and everyone involved in helping get you over the finish line with the parking garage. The fact that we did not get one call from anyone saying, you know, this garage is being built and, you know, it's impacting traffic, and on Union Boulevard and Montgomery.
It was very well
planned.
You know,
a 5-story parking garage, and the way, you know, it was staged, and, you know, the pieces literally of the building came in overnight, so there was never an impact to traffic flow along, you know, a main artery in the town. So really, anybody and everybody who was involved in that.
Our facilities team's phenomenal.
You know, but again, we spoke offline earlier about our team here in the town kind of taking ownership over projects sometimes and really getting involved. And I can remember seeing samples of the facade, you know, and what do you think, Supervisor? You know,
that's right.
So it really was something that, you know, we all hands on deck, so to speak. But we're going to take another little break, and we will be back with Donna Moravick, who, as I said, is the Executive Director of South Shore University Hospital, right here in our wonderful town of Islip.
You're watching ITV, Channel 18, Islip Television.
Hi, this is Islip Town Supervisor Angie Carpenter here with our Supervisor Spotlight. And today we have with us Donna Moravick, who is the Executive Director of South Shore University Hospital in the hamlet of Bay Shore in the town of Islip. So Donna, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We've touched on a lot of topics, and a lot of it, you know, obviously because of what we're going through, touched on COVID. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine, and I know earlier, you know, in one of your comments, you urged everyone who possibly can to get the vaccine. And so tell us a little bit about, you know, I know there are a couple of different kinds of vaccines,
Sure.
and also the third on the horizon.
Right.
And as we speak, I think it's being approved, hopefully.
That's what I'm hearing.
So tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. So there are, you know, the vaccines, you get an initial, there are two types.
Right.
That are approved right now. One is Pfizer, and the other is Moderna. Pfizer is 3 weeks apart from your 2 doses, and Moderna is a month or 4 weeks. And it's a messenger RNA, and it is the first dose that's given to you. It starts the process of making antibodies against that virus. It's a portion of the virus, or a mock portion of the messenger RNA of that virus, and it's telling your body time for you to make some antibodies against this organism. When you get the second dose, you know, some people say, oh my God, the second dose was worse. It's because your body's recognizing that as a possible organism. So efficacy is great. It's way up in the 90s. The new variants will be everybody's concerned about. But remember, you have some sort of a mechanism to decrease the severity of that. Johnson & Johnson is the 1 dose now. And, you know, thinking from your perspective also, think about the homebound patients, think about the older patients, the non-compliant patients, those 1 shot.
Right.
That is actually a DNA vaccine. So it's DNA that focuses on those little spikes around the actual virus. And it also produces antibodies against, you know, the actual organism. The efficacy is apparently in the 80s, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I do know that the severity of illness is significantly lowered. Johnson & Johnson, as far as the African, South African, and the, you know, the organisms, the variants, it will buffer the severity of those. I think they're more contagious and can be the South African, you know, yeah, it's all concerning, but I do believe having something in your body to prevent the severity of an illness is imperative. You know, one of our infectious disease doctors, always, who I trust immensely, says, you know, it's the shot, the vaccine. It's so important to get this. People are afraid, people are concerned, so people don't know what the actual, you know, they're afraid to get it. Putting poison in my body, I don't know what to do. You know, I think having seen what I've seen with COVID, and having seen, I mean, there are days I go home and cry. What I've seen is I don't want that organism.
Well, you know, to that point, it seems that anyone who's had COVID will be the biggest advocate for getting the vaccine.
Correct.
You know, someone who's close to me, you know, had COVID, 51 days, was out of work 51 days, 38 days ran a fever, and, you know, is the biggest advocate for getting the vaccine. You don't want COVID.
Correct.
You don't want COVID.
I mean,
and those who, you know, check the boxes of, you know, what you don't want to have, you know, if you do have that, it could be so much more severe. You know, you just can't take a chance.
Right. I think the severity of COVID, it's not going away. Again, we just have to manage through it, but it's time for everyone to read about it, understand it, and, you know, I think you're taking a bigger chance not getting it.
Yeah. And, you know, the vaccine is here, but we still, you know, it's not going to be you get the vaccine and, oh, I can go back to life the way I knew it. I mean, we still have to be using our masks, you know, washing your hands,
Absolutely.
you know, and mine are as raw as can be.
Mine too.
It's awful.
Everything.
But you need to do that and keep that social distance.
You know, it's telling, and I just looked at the data from the state of New York on influenza. Every year, the influenza peak looks like this, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. This year, the influenza
It was practically nothing.
Right, and that is totally from washing your hands and wearing a mask. It's all airborne. So, you know, you have to realize that that's a proven process to prevent an illness.
It's a simple thing. simple thing. I mean, I know from the very beginning we were running around doing, hand washing videos and in English and in Spanish, and really just trying to focus on it. It seems so simple, but you can't give up on it. You have to really keep living your life that way. And we will get through it. We will.
Yeah, I was listening to one of the physicians on one of the networks, and he was saying he predicts that by summertime we'll have some sort of normalcy. And I think the roughest time is closing your doors and having heat on.
Right.
I mean, we've all gone through holidays, and we would be very nervous in the hospital because this was a holiday, and we knew here was when we would be peaking.
A spike, yep.
So it's
keep that window open.
Right.
I do at home.
Right, exactly.
And even in my office.
Right.
Even in my office. We made reference earlier to the some of the physical things that are happening, the parking garage in some of the buildings, the new emergency room, which is not so new anymore, but those kind of projects, we tend to forget, you're there for the healthcare needs of the community, but what an economic generator. I was part of a panel the other day with PKF O'Connell Davis, a big accounting firm, and their predecessor was AVZ, and they did this annual economic impact survey, and 47% growth rate in the healthcare field this year. One of the biggest growth industries that there is healthcare. So you don't stop to think about it, but the economic impact, the positive economic impact.
Tremendous.
And we, in the town are so blessed. We not only have Southside or South Shore University Hospital, but Good Samaritan Hospital, to have two quality healthcare facilities, not just from the healthcare delivery perspective, but the economic generator, the jobs that are created. I mean, how many jobs are at South Shore?
We have 2,800 employees.
It's amazing when you think about it.
There are more construction gentlemen in there than you can shake a stick at. Our dietary staff is saying, "Oh my goodness, the food flies right out of here," because we feed we feed them also. But yeah, it is amazing, the construction and the economic impact of South Shore University is $1.053 billion according to Hayes.
And that's one individual hospital. We're not talking about the system.
That's correct.
We're
That's
not talking
one.
about the system.
Right, exactly. And but that could be 2.5 people in each household. The jobs generated with even just construction is tremendous. So it's we have a lot going on there. We have a garage. We have so we're going to keep going. We have a tower coming on board.
That is music to my ears. We're going to keep going. Delivering those healthcare needs, keeping the economy going, keeping everyone safe. Donna, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, 6 feet apart. We're in this together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.